What's going on, guys? So in this video, we're gonna test the Rush Tank 800mw VTX. Alright guys, so in this video, we're gonna test the Rush Tank. Now this came out, this is probably on the order of a year ago. It's supposed to be a very good VTX. This was one of the very first ones that they actually licensed the TBS Smart Audio. So I'm gonna go into that, a little bit of what comes in the box. We're gonna bench test it to see if all the levels that it does put out, if it does do that. And we're also gonna try for the first time my fan setup to cool the VTX on the bench. Now the funny thing is I probably don't need to, because it says it's 52 in here right now. It feels like it's about 45. It is cold. I'm currently testing a lapel mic. The sound you're hearing right now is from said lapel mic. Let me know what you like better. Do you like this lapel mic better? Or I'm going to switch to the shotgun mic right now. This is the shotgun mic. Let me know, does this sound better? Do you enjoy this shotgun mic or the lapel mic? Let me know. For the rest of this, I think I'm going to go back to the lapel mic, because I think it's got a nice deeper throater bassy tone to it. The shotgun mic I liked until I listened to this lapel mic. The shotgun mic to me is very like kind of tinny and very, very treble. There's a lot of treble to it, and I know I can tweak that, but it just, I don't know, the lapel mic just seems a little bit better to me. So let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll start using that more often. The problem with the lapel mic is it a freaking silly stupid wire now between me and the voice recorder, so that doesn't bode well for these types of things. Now I guess I can coil it up, and if I'm not using the shotgun mic, I can coil that recorder up and put it in my pocket. So I guess that's kind of a moot point. So if you enjoy the lapel mic more, let me know. If you enjoy the shotgun mic, let me know. Either one will work for me. I just want what's best for you guys. I've got the Immersion RC RF power meter. I've got the 10 decibel attenuator, and you want these fairly tight, almost to the point where you would need a wrench. Because if you don't, you will get losses in between each of these connections. And I hate having 1, 2, 3 connections here. That's 4 connections that I need to make sure are tight throughout the entire test. Because if they're loose, even just that much, they will throw off your readings. So we want these tight. So inside of this meter, I am going to be on, let's see, 5800 megahertz. I'm testing on the peak mode, and I'm going to change the attenuation to 10 decibels, because that's what we got on here, a 10 decibel attenuator, and our span is 40 milliseconds. That's all our settings there. So I'm going to shut this down, and I'm going to turn it back on and make sure that it kept those settings. It looks like it did. So there we go, 5800 megahertz. That's race 5 is like 5805, and I'm going to set that in there in a few. Mode is peak, so that's going to give us our largest reading. The attenuation obviously is what's going on here. Is this is going to send 100% of the signal, but this RF meter, much like every single RF meter on the market, cannot handle more than 30 decibels. So this is going to send, let's say this sends 40 decibels, 40 decibels, they come this way, and this thing says, no, we can only let 30 of you in. So it's only going to let 30 in. Well, it takes 10 off of whatever's coming in. So it's 50, it takes it down to 40. But in this case, let's say it's 40. So 40 is coming in here. Oh, there's 40 of us. And this thing's like, nope, only 30 of you can get in there. So this is going to say 30 can come in. We're good. But now this meter says, well, anything that comes in, we have to add 10 to it. So, okay, 30 come in. This says, okay, we got 30 here. This adds the 10 decibels to the 30, and we got 40. So now the meter is safe. This guy's happy because he did his job, and this guy's happy because he did his job. So that's a little bit as to how that works. Layman's terms, these are all the people that wanted to go to the club. This is the bouncer, and this is the club. And inside of the club, we have the fire marshal. The fire marshal can't see any more than 30 people. 30 people equal decibels in this case. So you can't see any more than 30 people. So our bouncer over here is only going to let 10 of them. So our bouncer over here, no matter how many show up, is going to take 10 off of the top. So if 20 people show up, he says, no, only 10 can come in. So 10 come in, fire marshal goes, you're under 30, you're good. And this thing reads whatever. So I don't know. That's a terrible analogy. So I'm going to stop right there. Let's go to this test. So that's a quick look at the meter we're going to use. I'm going to put that off to the side. There's a VTX we're going to do. Here is a look at the buck converter, the battery, and then I've got a fan. So what I'm going to do in this test is I'm going to test the VTX on its 3 lower powers. Then I'm going to test it on its highest power. And all I'm looking for is just a spike, plug it in. That's our quick look at what it outputs. So all I plan to do in this test is I'm going to turn this on and test its 4 power levels. And the 4 power levels I'll go into. So my plan for this test is to test this on its 4 power levels. I'm going to test the bottom 3. I'm just going to get a spike of output level and then kind of move on. On the 4th one, the highest output, I'm going to get a spike, but then after that, I'm going to turn on the fan and see what happens with kind of like where it settles out if it was flying through the air. And that should give us a good representation of what we can expect with this on full power on the quad. I don't do that with the lower levels because to me it just doesn't make sense. Most of you are just going to put this on the highest level and just rip. But you know, going forward, if you guys feel you need to see what it does at 100 milliwatts with this on there, then I'll do that. But for now, I don't think it's beneficial to show the lower powers other than a spike. So let's get into this review and test. So put all that off to the side. Off to the side with you. All right, so in the package, you get your so in the package, or the package, you get the anti-spark. This is their Ziploc. So we take that out of there. They give you a couple sets of stickers. Ooh, shiny. So inside of the box, we get the VTX, we get the Pigtail, we get the wiring harness, and what is this? A little tiny O-ring. So here's a look at the VTX itself. This is a 37 channel, 7 through 25 volt. That's a 2 through 6S VTX input, and then it's got a 5 volt camera output. So there's a look at the front. Now this being a 30 by 30, you can also mount this like a normal VTX. If I flip it over here, you will see there's, there you go. You can see them right there. Underneath each of these circular mounting holes, there's kind of a little perforation on each side. So you've got 4 perforations here, and then you've got 4 perforations here. So if you did not want these, you can just grab a pair of pliers and just break them off. On the side here, we have our MMCX connector. We have our, I think there's a JST connector where we put our wiring harness into. And then on the side here, we've got 2 buttons. And those buttons are well labeled. We've got our frequency button and our power button. And this is version 1.4. On the opposite side of the buttons, you'll see we've got 4 LEDs here and then 3 LEDs here. That is, again, well labeled. You've got your band indicator here and you've got your channel indicator here. And the way they do these is, if, let's say we're on channel 1, you'll just have a solid light. Actually, I'm sorry. I'll go into these better here, but off the top of my head, and the way they do these, it will either be solid or flashing to indicate each. And during the test, I'll go better into how that is done. It's a lot easier than just, it's easier to show you than to not. So if we flip this over on its back, the wiring, you're going to want to pay special attention to this because they've used a little bit different wiring than they normally would. And I'll get into that when I get to the wire. They also broke out pads, so if you don't want to use this wiring harness, you can wire direct. So starting from the top here, this is our DC in, so this is the 2 through 6S wire. Next to that, we have our black wire. This is a ground. That's for the input voltage. We can ground that out. Then our third wire here, this yellow wire, one would think yellow is associated with video, but in this case, it's associated with smart audio. So pay special attention to that. Usually you could use like a green wire for smart audio or something like that, but certainly not yellow. So that's just kind of weird to me. I don't know why they would have done that. Then this wire is set up for your camera. So you would plug your camera directly into that if you choose to run it that way. The way this is run is you've got your 5-volt wire out to your camera. In the middle of it there, you got your black wire, that's your ground wire, and then finally you've got your white wire. White wire. Why do we have white wire? This should be a yellow wire for video. This is your video out. And I don't understand why they did that. That's what they did. So, but it's well marked. So, just know it's a thing. My one gripe with that though is you're going to put this down into a stack, or you're going to rip these guys off, and you're going to put a little bit of tape on this and stick it to your frame. Once you've done that, you're reliant on the wire colors. So, how is anybody, especially let's say you built the quad and you have somebody else that needs to fix it, or let's say you've built 100 quads and you need to go back and fix it, that's going to throw you off. I almost guarantee it. I don't know why they would have done that. So this wire should be yellow, and this white wire should be so really, to me, this yellow wire should be green or any other color than yellow, or black or red, and this white wire should be yellow. But that's just my opinion. So here's everything set up. I've got my battery into my buck converter, and this buck converter has an on-off switch on it. I have just connected. What I did was I pulled these wires out, soldered them together, and then put them back in. So this is set to it. I've got an on-off button here, and then you can see the values here as to what this is putting out. So if I switch to in voltage, I've got 16.6 volts with 0 amps currently, and then out voltage, you can see I've got 0 volts and 0 amps. And there's a second LED right here that tells me when this is on. So that goes into the VTX, and then out to the meter, which is currently reading negative numbers right now, 39. Yeah, so that's essentially 0. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn this on, and as you can see, it has lit up, and both things are flashing here. So as you can see, we're pulling so as you can see, it's pulling 0.13 amps at 11.9 volts. And this is set for 3 amps. And I can actually show you that. If I go to set, you can see I have it set to pull 3 amps at 12 volts. So if I can get out of that. So just so you know, I'm not limiting this device to get bad readings. It can pull as much or as little as it needs to. So as you can see, we're putting out 25 milliwatts, and just to check channel, we're gonna have to set all that. We're in green. Green stands for 25 milliwatts. So we have one red light flashing and one blue light flashing. So that tells me we're on channel 1, band A. This has the 4 LEDs and this has the 3 LEDs. The 3 LEDs is your band side and your 4 LEDs is your channel side. So let's get that onto race 5. For channel 5, we want 2 red LEDs solid and 1 flashing. So to do that, we're gonna flip this guy over. We want our frequency button, which is right here on the left. So we're gonna press that. So we got 1 solid, we're gonna press it again, and press it again. So that's race. We have 2 solid, 1 flashing. So now in order to change this blue light, we want that on 5, channel 5. So we want 2 solid and 1 flashing. So we push and hold again, push and hold again, and push and hold again. Okay, so now each of these we have 2 solid and 1 flashing. So now that we're on race 5, we're gonna check the 4 different power outputs on this VTX. And the 4 different outputs are 25 milliwatts, which we saw was dead nuts accurate. Then we're gonna bump up to 200 milliwatts. Then on the third one, 500 milliwatts, and then 800 milliwatts. The way that works, you can see the green LED on the top here, or well, right side if you're looking at the VTX in the proper angle. But in this case, in the video, there's a green LED there. That green LED changes to yellow on 200 milliwatts, red on 500 milliwatts, and purple on 800 milliwatts. So let's go ahead and turn this back on. We're gonna make sure that we're in race 5. Oops, sorry, that's not on. There we go. So we got our red and blue light there, indicating that we are turned on, and our green LED there, indicating we are on 25 milliwatts. Okay, so let me go ahead and bump this up. Notice we are on yellow. That is the 200 milliwatt setting. And as you can see, we are 176. So fairly good. And it doesn't seem to be dropping. That's a steady output value. It's a very steady output value. Let me take a measurement on the VTX. So it did come down a little ways. It's at 82.5. And it doesn't look like it's climbing, but slowly. 83.5. So now I'm going to push the power button again, and this should be our 500 milliwatt setting, and that should be a red light on top. So there we go. There's our red light, and very quickly we are at 450 milliwatts. Very, very good. And if I put the temperature on it, it's about 90.3, 88 degrees. So it is spiking a little bit. Still a very, very good temperature. And it's almost static. It doesn't seem to be raising at all. And I just want to point out, yeah, it is raising slightly. And some of you will say, well, the LED is not on it. If you notice, the LED on this gun is lower than the reading eye, so I just got to compensate for that in my readings this close. As you can see, the temperature is rising, but that's also pretty acceptable. With it, our value is decreasing slightly. We're at 430. So I'm going to go ahead and shut this off for a moment and let this VTX cool. And I'm going to let it cool to about probably 80 degrees. And it's very cold in here, as I showed you earlier. It's at 53, but I'm cold. Pretty cold. So let's check our input voltage. We're at 16.6 still, so our 4S battery is still looking good, and 0 amps. So we can go back to that, and as you can see, this is turned off. So I'll give this a moment to cool off. And this is actually, it's warm to the touch. Not bad if I hold the bottom of it. The other thing that I notice here is the top and bottom feel about the same. There doesn't seem to be a hot spot at all. And again, it's like very lightly warm. So all in all, pretty good. I would not worry about this VTX just plugged in and left. And temperature has gone back down to about 75. 74, 73. Yeah, so okay, that's pretty good. So let's turn the meter back on. So now we want that purple light for maximum power. So if I push and hold that, that turns the VTX back on. As you can see, we're still in race 5, channel 5, and we've got a red LED. We're putting out back up here to 455 milliwatts. So let's hit that power button. There's our purple light. And here we are at 590. We're supposed to be up at 800. 590. And some of you have got on me for twisting the pigtail inside of the VTX. I just want to make sure that there's no loose connection here. I did have a spike up to 600. And I'm gonna chalk, yeah, see, there we go. There's 600 milliwatts. So it's a little light on the output, and that could possibly be from this pigtail here. So what I'm gonna do is give it a fair shake. I'm gonna shut that off. Shut this off. And we're gonna try it again with the supplied pigtail, just because I've had pigtail trouble in the past, and this is the one that you're gonna use on your quad. I do plan on purchasing a lot of VTX pigtails, and I do plan on sending the pigtails out, or at least ordering them from some place that can test the loss values on them. Much like my earlier statements, I do want to get a better RF meter test device, and I will send it out and have it tested, whether that be monthly, 6 months, what have you. But this is what we have to work with right now. So let's turn that back on, and let's see what this does at the highest outputs. So we're on purple, and as you can see, yes, we're up to 670. I did see a value of 680. So as you can see, the losses were from this pigtail, and I'm getting better values from the stock. But what I'm also noticing is those values dropped relatively quickly. So our stock pigtail is, while it gave better peak values, the losses are realized pretty quickly. Okay, so as you can see, the stock pigtail it gave a better peak value, but the RMS values are not very good. So I'm going to go back to my pigtail, and we're going to test this with a fan on it. And it doesn't seem to be dropping, so I really don't think the fan is necessary, but I'm going to do it anyways. So as you can see, race 5, channel 5, and we're up here around 5,600. That's a loose pigtail wire right there. Okay, so we're at 570, 560. So what I'm going to do now is grab my fan and drag this wire out here. And I'm sorry, I'm covering up the unders there. So that's our fan on. It is blowing at our VTX. We're going to see if that makes any bit of a difference. So let me test the temperatures on that. Right now we're at 92. And we're just going to sit here with the fan on it for a little bit and see if that makes any bit of a difference. 540, 530. So I've let this sit here for about 5 minutes. The VTX the temperature has stabilized to about 92. I showed you that, 92.8. And the output has stabilized to about 530 milliwatts. Now we're supposed to be at 800, and what I think is to blame here is the pigtail. As we saw earlier, I had this pigtail here, which did give me higher values. The settling values were not as good though. That's why I took this one off. Let me see if I have another pigtail that I can throw on this to test, and we'll see if we can get something better out of it. Okay, so I've gotten this is a TBS Unify Pro 32 SMA to MMCX pigtail, and these are, so far, they seem to be about the best that I've found. I am going to order about 10 of these, and what I'll do is I'll mark them each so you can tell, and I can tell at a glance as to what VTX pigtail we're using. If they go bad, we can just take them out of circulation. So let's turn this on. And I'm not getting any better values out of this one. Down here at 460, 450. So that's a quick look at the Rush Tank VTX. All in all, I think it's a very good VTX. It did come out a little bit underpowered on the highest power level, and I kind of blame the pigtails for that. As you saw when we hooked the stock one in there, it did spike up close to 800, but it fell pretty quickly. We tried the TBS Unify Pro, and even that one was fairly well under, so I gotta take a look at this. I might be retiring this pigtail as well, but with this pigtail here, we did get steady values at 550-ish, which I think is pretty respectable for using a generic run-of-the-mill pigtail. And with the wind blowing on it, and for it to steady out at a steady temperature under 100, it was like 98 degrees. That's pretty good. We're gonna get a good solid signal out of 500 milliwatts. It's not quite the 800, but again, we're dealing with $4 pigtails, and that's the same thing that you're gonna put on your quad. So that's what you're gonna get. So all in all, I like it. It's definitely going to end up on a build sometime soon. So what do you guys think about this VTX? It's been on the market for a long time. I know many of you have probably tried it out already. What is it good? Is it bad? I don't know. I haven't used it besides this bench test. So let me know. And I value your opinion with it, because your opinion will help out others. Your opinion will probably happen long before I get this into a build. And I think I'm going to put this into my Flight 1 build that has been put on the shelf for on the order of a couple months now. So that's my overview of the Rush Tank. If you enjoyed this video, click that thumbs up button. And if you haven't done it already, go ahead and punch that subscribe button, because it's fun and you only get to do it once. And I'll catch you later. Peace.